Did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Can't sleep with this cold.
Honey.
Honey?
Honey, you need NyQuil Severe Honey.
NyQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a dreamy honey taste.
Feeling better, honey? Honey? I'll take that as a yes.
Try NyQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu symptom relief. NyQuil Severe with honey flavor. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever. Honeylicious, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
All right, everybody, welcome in. It is the Kinner and Kev Show, live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Happy Tuesday. I'm Justin Kinner, solo for the remainder of the week, at least for today and tomorrow, and then, of course, off for the rest of the week because it's Thanksgiving, and we're all going to be out enjoying hanging out with our families, of course. I hope everyone's had a great day. I'm feeling a little bit better today. I was very much so under the weather over the weekend and into yesterday. Feel a little bit better today. Excited to be hanging out with all of you here this afternoon. 518-1410, 518-1410, the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We also have the text line up on the screen right now. So if you also can't call in to 518-1410, you could text us at 937-518-1410. Same number to text, same number to call, same number to be involved in everything that we're doing right here on 1410 Wing AM. Again, hope everyone's had a great day. We got a ton to dive into. I know that we touched on some stuff yesterday that we may repeat today. No Kev Nash today. He has the week off and well-deserved. I mean, he busted his tail over the weekend at the holiday help out. What a tremendous success that was. All 5 of our radio stations came together to help families in need this holiday season. And the goal was to help, at the very least 50 families. And the number I saw, 110 families got a Thanksgiving Day meal, families that were in need this holiday season. So how cool is that to double the amount of meals that we were hoping to be able to prepare? Thousands and thousands of pounds of food delivered or donated, I should say, by you, our loyal listeners. Can't say thank you enough as far as that's concerned. All right. Let's see. What do we got to get into? Something we talked about yesterday that, look, I hit a hornet's nest yesterday. Goodberry, I don't even know. I don't know much about this guy. I guess he watches football, he draws on the screen, and then he charges you guys, Bengals fans, to follow him. I have no clue who he is, what he is. I do know that there are very credible, real media members that reach out to me and say, good for you for going after him because their line of work, they can't. Okay, whatever. But I hit a hornet's nest. I called him out for the homerism yesterday about Joe Burrow. I'm not anti-Joe Burrow. I think that Joe Burrow, just to be clear, let's set this tone right off the bat. Joe Burrow not being out on that football field is bad for this show. It's bad for me personally, and I'm not even a Bengals fan. Selfishly, I want him out there. It is not a good thing, so I'm not rooting for Joe Burrow to be hurt and out for the season or anything along those lines. But I also am not a fan of this idea that anyone that is questioning whether or not he's injury prone or not, I don't think that anyone that has thrown that idea out there that they're necessarily haters or that they're wrong. Kevin and I talked about this yesterday. At the end of the day, when you talk about Joe Burrow and the fact that there's maybe he's not injury prone and that's up for debate, but I like the way Kev Nash worded it yesterday. He maybe not be injury prone, but there's just always something, right? Is that fair to say about Joe Burrow, that there's just always something? Every year we're talking about something. Now you could say it's football. Everyone's always banged up. And I completely get that. But it's always like he has a bubble around him. And I don't mean like if that bubble was a real bubble, maybe he wouldn't be as injured or banged up all the time. And maybe there wouldn't always be something. But that bubble is you guys. That bubble is the media. And I have no clue. It's not that I know no clue why or that I'm upset about it or that I hate Joe Burrow. You guys think I hate Joe Burrow. I love the rivalry between Browns fans and, Bengals fans and me and my listeners. I love the fact that we butt heads all the time. Some of the most loyal, the people that interact with the page the most are guys that probably, called me every name in the book originally, and now you guys interact with me more than the Browns fans do, and I appreciate that. The bottom line is you're an absolute fool if you think that I am happy that Joe Burrow is out for the season. I'm not happy about that at all. As I stated, it's bad for the show. Okay, it's bad for the show. So that's out of the way. I don't think I need to put out that disclaimer. Me talking about Joe Burrow being out for the season is not me celebrating it. I actually hate it. The AFC North is stacked with teams from top to bottom that all we are doing is talking about the fact that maybe all 4 teams could potentially make the college football playoff. I'm losing my mind. Make the playoff, right? I don't think that's going to happen now. The Steelers just fired Matt Canada. All right, they're 50% of the teams of the AFC North have their starting quarterback, right? Well, one team, the Ravens have their starting quarterback in Lamar Jackson. Okay, the other team is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm not even sure that even if you add the backup at the Bengals and the backup at the Browns, he's still the worst quarterback in the AFC North as we sit here right now. Kenny Pickett is god-awful. He's awful. But let's just be clear. At the end of the day, it is fair to question the injury proneness, if you will, of Joe Burrow. It's always something. I don't want to hear. I had one of the Goodberry disciples make fun of me yesterday because, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're going to hold an appendectomy against him. That can happen to anybody. And a torn ACL can't. And a little pinky injury can't. And a rib injury can't. And a calf injury can't. I didn't know that I didn't know that calf injuries could only happen to Joe Burrow. I didn't know that pinky injuries could only happen to Joe Burrow. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I didn't know that Joe Burrow was the only quarterback in the history of the universe that can tear a ligament in his hand. I had no idea. I didn't know that the only thing that happened to Joe Burrow that could happen to anybody was an appendectomy. Whatever, dude. You're not going to win that one with me. The bottom line is every single season, there is something wrong. And here's the other argument that I am exhausted at making on social media, to the point to where I had one guy make fun of my wife. I had one guy come at my family. I had one guy call me every name in the book. And I was like, dude, we're talking sports and you're attacking family. You're making it personal. You have a problem. His name is Christopher Patterson. If you want to look him up on social media, feel free to tell him I said, what's up? He blocked me because I called him a psychopath, but that's besides the point. Here's the deal. And people keep bringing up, he made 50 straight starts. That's fantastic. Missed games is not the only metric to base whether you're injury prone or not. Being injured is. And Joe Burrow's always injured. Every season for the Cincinnati Bengals, except, the rookie season, of course, that's not his fault. That was a COVID season that they didn't even get camp, right? He didn't get a full training camp, all that fun stuff. I'm not talking about that. But he played 11 games that season and then was out for the rest of the year, right? And then that injury led to the slow start in the next year's camp. So then there was that slow start to 2021. Now, ultimately, that led to a Super Bowl, an appearance, by the way, not a win. It led to an appearance in the Super Bowl. That's fantastic that they ended up getting hot late in the season, but it doesn't mean that the injury from the previous season didn't play the role on the start to the season. Now, luckily, they dug themselves out of that hole. That's super. That's great. That's fantastic. Okay, now let's go to the next season. He misses camp again. Why does he miss camp again? Because, okay, cool, super. What happened? The appendectomy. That could happen to anybody. But the point is, it happened. It happened, right? So now they spend the 2022 season digging themselves out of a hole. They started 5-4. They got embarrassed by the Browns on Halloween. Now, to their credit, they dug themselves out of the hole. But that doesn't change the fact that that was another month and a half. So now we're at 3 months of the season, 3 months of the first 2 seasons for him that are the team digging themselves out of a hole, because it's always something with Joe Burrow. And then, let's talk about this year. Now, Joe Burrow started in week 1. So he didn't miss any time in week 1, right? From week 1 on, he played 10 straight weeks, right? So he's not injury prone because he was out there. BS. That's wrong too, because he was out there for the first month and a half of the season. He was the worst statistical quarterback in the NFL. They were one of the worst offenses in the National Football League because Joe Burrow's injury, because of his calf injury. Then it healed up and then he hurt it again. He hurt the same calf twice in one season. And then they started playing better. They won 4 straight. You guys started being cocky again. You started making fun of Kenner, blah, 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 blah. Same story every year, right? But then he gets hurt again. This time it wasn't even the calf. It was the pinky. He hurt his pinky. He tore a ligament, but you know what I mean. He's out for the season. Folks, he has missed more games in 4 years than Lamar Jackson has since coming in 2018. He has missed more games since 2020 than Lamar Jackson has since 2018. And all people talk about Lamar Jackson is how injury prone he is and how, oh my gosh, I wouldn't pay him because his style of play, he runs all over the place. He misses games. He hasn't been available in the playoffs the last couple of years. Now, to Joe Burrow's credit, he has been available in the playoffs. But this is only the 4th season, and this is the 2nd time in 2 years that he has had to miss the remainder of the season. I had another unhinged Bengals fan call me every name in the book yesterday and said, well, I would love for you to provide me a list of quarterbacks that have played more games than Joe Burrow since 2020. And then what did I do? I provided that lunatic the list, and then he called me every name in the book. You wanted answers. I gave you answers. The answers didn't tell you what you wanted, so you called me every name in the book. That's fine. Here's the list of quarterbacks that have played more games since 2020 than your boy, Joe Burrow. Okay, let's start. Okay, Joe Burrow has played 43 games in the last 3.5 seasons. Okay, you want to know who has played more? Trevor Lawrence has played more games than Joe Burrow. He was drafted after Joe Burrow, by the way, and he still played more games. All right, Jacoby Brissett has played more games than Joe Burrow. Russell Wilson, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wasn't even a starter initially with Philadelphia. Right? Remember Carson Wentz? Remember that dude? Yeah. Carson Wentz was the starter when Jalen Hurts was drafted. Jalen Hurts didn't even start to the halfway point of that season, and he was, and he still has played more games than Joe Burrow. They were drafted in the same year. How about Jared Goff? Jared Goff has played more games than Joe Burrow since 2020. How about Kirk Cousins, who has played more games than Joe Burrow since 2020? How about Patrick Mahomes? How about Derek Carr? How about Josh Allen? How about Justin Herbert? I'm losing my voice because there's so many names on this list of quarterbacks that have played more games since 2020 than your boy, Joe Burrow. Yes, he's injury prone. And I have no clue why you guys get mad at me saying that, because it's true. And it's okay. Because you want to know what the difference is between Joe Burrow's injury proneness and some of the others is outside of this season, Joe Burrow is usually there when it counts. That's what I'll give him credit for. You guys are lucky that his injury proneness happens in the offseason more so, or at least right at the preseason, to where he has time to dig himself out of a hole. That's not the case this year, but to his credit, they usually dig themselves out of that injury proneness, if you will. This is just an unfortunate situation where he's out for the rest of the year. And that's okay. There is no need to get mad at me for bringing facts to this conversation. You guys live in a delusional world, some of you, not all of you. But getting mad at me and calling me names and going after my family just because I pointed out the fact that, hey, that, because it was Zim. Who are these lunatic Bengals basement beat writers that they don't even work for real publications that just get everyone all fired up? Doesn't make any sense. But getting mad at me, like this, Zim says, Joe Burrow just made 51 consecutive NFL starts. He's only missed 7 games after he tore his ACL his rookie season. Why is everyone now trying to inflate his injury history with blank, like when he had a hurt pinky and missed no games? Missing games is not the only metric to show that you're injury prone. Good for Joe Burrow for being out there while injured, but when you're out there injured and you're not playing to your full potential, your injury history is still impacting your team. This year is a prime example. You can't argue otherwise. You can't argue with me. The first month and a half of this season, and again, I'm bringing more facts to this. This isn't Kinner's opinion. This isn't Kinner stirring the pot. These are facts, and I understand why these facts scare some of you, but the bottom line is the facts are this. When the season started, for the first 6 weeks of the season, there was no starting quarterback that was worse than Joe Burrow. From total touchdowns to completion percentage, interceptions, to total yards, all of that. He was the worst statistical quarterback in the NFL. That's not me throwing daggers. That's not me throwing hate. That's me throwing facts. And if that bothers you, I am terribly, terribly sorry. I am losing my voice because I'm that passionate about this. I'm right. And at the beginning, I told you, this is a bad thing for my show that he is out for the rest of the season because the Browns right now are on their 3rd quarterback And maybe their fourth quarterback once Joe Flacco starts. And the bottom line is that they are in a position to get the number 1 seed out of the AFC. The Browns, as I told you in the offseason, were a better team than the Cincinnati Bengals, and you guys laughed at me. Why did you laugh at me? Because I was right. Because you take Joe Burrow off your team disappears. You take our franchise quarterback off the roster and the best running back in the NFL off the roster, they still keep chugging along. Their defense is still tops in the league. They're still a top 10 running team in football, right? They still, by the way, the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, the Cleveland Browns have scored more points and averaged more points per game than the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. By the way, the Browns, a lot has to go right for them to get the number 1 seed and for them to be able to win the Super Bowl and all of that fun stuff. Don't get me wrong. But the Cleveland Browns are a better team. They're not quarterback. It's not like, oh my gosh, if we don't have our quarterback, we have no shot. That's the Bengals. You take Joe Burrow off that roster, what do you have left? You have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but you know what happens when you take Joe Burrow off that roster? You still have the worst running team in football. You have a bottom 3 defense in football. You actually have the worst. You have a bottom 3 run defense, a bottom 4 pass defense, and a bottom 3 overall defense. Horrible. Man, Anarumo, man, people lining up to make him a head coach. Give me a break. Guys, it's okay. Getting mad at me, that's fine. You can be mad at me all you want. But facts are facts. Your quarterback's injury prone. He's only been in the league for 4 years. Okay? Only been in the league for 4 years, and this is his second season-ending injury. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. It's the Kinner and Kev Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Man, I don't know if I'm going to last a full 3 hours today. I can't talk, but I'm having a blast, and I see the comment section filling up. I'm going to get to your responses coming up here in just a few moments. I'm by myself today, so the phone lines are only open during the break. So I'm going to unlock it now. They're unlocked. Give me a call, 518-1410, 518-1410. You could be mad at me, but I need you to be real with me. Why am I wrong? I brought facts to the conversation. There is a laundry list of quarterbacks that have played more games since 2020, and some of them didn't even start in 2020. Some of them were drafted in 2021, and they've played more games than your boy, Joe Burrow. I'm not wrong, folks. I'm not. And it's okay for you to be a Bengals fan and still admit that, yeah, maybe our quarterback is a little bit injury prone. And that's okay. And that's coming from a guy that's a fan of a team that has a quarterback that's also injury prone. Deshaun Watson, the injury he was battling all season, he ends up getting knocked out for the year for an injury that wasn't even the original problem. Ay. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Want the best fried chicken in the nation? Bring home the chicken voted best fast food fried chicken by USA Today readers when you pick up a 12-piece family meal from Lee's famous recipe chicken. With 12 pieces of honey-dipped, hand-breaded, pressure-cooked to perfection chicken, 3 craveable large sides, and 6 fluffy biscuits, this is the flavor that made us famous. Head to Lee's famous recipe chicken and pick up a 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-497-9090. That's 800-497-9090. 800-497-9090.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Justin Kinner back with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. It's the Kinner and Kev Show. No Kev Nash for the week. He's off for the week. The holidays, of course. We'll get in to Ohio State, Michigan coming up here. I promise you that much. We heard from Jim Harbaugh yesterday. You see, I tell the listeners I'm by myself today. Call during the commercial break, and I'll get you on hold. And then what do you guys do? You don't call during the commercial break. We come back, and now the phone lines just light up like a Christmas tree. Y'all need to pay attention and listen to some directions, man. My goodness. It's like I feel like I'm Matt Canada. No matter what directions I pass out to y'all, you don't listen to anything. Man, you know, maybe I'll be fired like Matt Canada now. Some of you are cheering for that. How about that? The Steelers moving on from Canada. You know, I've seen a couple of interesting rumors about some of the potential OCs that they can look at. Obviously, Byron Leftwich is one. I'm not against Byron Leftwich. Like, take the Steelers rivalry with the Browns and the AFC North and your Bengals and Ravens and all that stuff. Take that out. Byron Leftwich, maybe he's a good OC. I don't know. But I do know this. I mean, like, I would like to see, like, say what you want. I mean, Byron Leftwich, okay. Is he a good OC? I don't know. He was the OC of a team that was not a playoff team one year, and then you add Tom Brady and Gronkowski, and you add Leonard Fournette, and then you load up every weapon you can on the defensive side of the ball. You beef up the offensive line, and now they look like an elite offense. Was that because of Byron Leftwich, or was that just because you added Tom Brady, Leonard Fournette, Byron, or, you know, and Gronkowski? Like, I you know what I mean? You added Antonio Brown. Like, what are we doing? So that's a dangerous direction to go. Okay, because we've said this before. While everyone out there was saying, man, how horrible and mean people are because they weren't going for the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator. Well, it's not like he's doing wonders over in Washington either. So if I'm Byron Leftwich, the bottom line is like a lot of the aura that is the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs that is now with the Washington, with the Washington, what the hell are the Commanders? They just need to stop changing their name every other year. That might help for their branding purposes, of course. But my goodness, you do got to be selective of where you go. And if you're an offensive coordinator that's out there, you may want they may want Byron Leftwich, but if I'm Byron Leftwich, you got to be very selective with the job that you take next, because Bieniemy may not get another shot because there was a lot of stink around him, because everyone's like, well, is it really him? I mean, it's kind of Andy Reid, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Travis Kelce. I mean, come on, anyone, Kinner can go call plays for that team. And really, it's not Kinner calling the plays or Bieniemy calling the plays, it's Andy Reid, right? And then people trying to spin it. Well, look, you take Eric Bieniemy away. Look how bad the offense is. Or it's the fact that they have literally no stinking weapons at all. That probably has more to do with it. And he's not making magic over in Washington either. So let's get that out of the way. Byron Leftwich, be very selective with your next job. And I don't think Kenny Pickett is the guy that you want to go hook your wagon up to and say, all right, let's go show people what I can do. Matt Canada was a problem, but he wasn't the problem. The problem in Pittsburgh is you don't have a quarterback. Kenny Pickett stinks. And anyone out there that thinks, oh, he just needs more time, this, that, and the other, give me a break. He stinks. He was not good. All right? His highlight of his career was that he looked good in preseason for a few snaps. Who gives a rip? Like, my goodness. So another interesting name in Pittsburgh for their potential opening at offensive coordinator. I'm hearing Hugh Jackson. Now, before y'all laugh at that, I saw people making fun, Browns fans making fun of the Steelers for that. Let me tell you something right now. There are some people that are really, really good coordinators that aren't good head coaches. And you guys seem to forget that when Hugh Jackson was the offensive coordinator back in the day, for the Cincinnati Bengals especially, he was one hell of an offensive coordinator. Every team that was in position to have a head coach opening were trying to position themselves to go get Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson was not a bad get for the Browns. It just was a bad result. I hate when people say, of course, the Browns went and got him, and look how that worked out. It didn't work out, but every team that needed a head coach at the time was lining up to get him, and every team was going to fail with him no matter what because he's just not a good head coach. Josh McDaniels is one hell of an offensive coordinator. That's a name right there that if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I go knock on the door of Josh McDaniels and say, hey, I know you suck as a head coach, but I really want you to be my offensive coordinator. And the reason that Hugh Jackson and the reason that Josh McDaniels is a safe get as an offensive coordinator is that no matter how much success that they have as OCs, they will never be touched again as head coaches. You know what I mean? Like Josh McDaniels absolutely killed it as offensive coordinator in New England. But now that he has failed so many times as a head coach, I don't care if he is the offensive coordinator of a Steelers team that leads him to 4 Super Bowls. No one will ever hire Josh McDaniels as a head coach again. So if you're Mike Tomlin, that's a safe hire. You don't have to worry about, oh man, if we start not accomplishing stuff, they're going to want to hire him to be the head coach over me. No one's going to touch Josh McDaniels as a head coach ever again. He's a good offensive coordinator. Hire Josh McDaniels. He's a proven offensive coordinator, right? Like Brian Leftwich. You were nobody until Tom Brady and Leonard Fournette and Gronkowski and Antonio Brown. And you were a nobody until those dudes went and turned you into a Super Bowl team, not the other way around. So I don't know. As a Browns fan, go get Byron Leftwich. He's the least proven of them all, as far as I'm concerned, of being able to mold anything. He doesn't know how to mold anything. All right. And as far as I'm concerned, when you look at Hilarious Jackson, shout out to Mark Schlemmer, always called him Hilarious Jackson. Hugh Jackson as a head coach is hilarious. Hugh Jackson is an offensive coordinator. I don't think that's the worst thing you can do in the world. No, I don't think they should do it. I wouldn't pick Hugh Jackson over anyone else right now. But the fact that they've interviewed him, I don't think is that bad of an idea. Hugh Jackson is a laughingstock. He's hilarious as a head coach, not as an offensive coordinator. Same thing with Josh McDaniels. Okay, I wouldn't, there's a lot of great defensive coordinators out there that shouldn't be head coaches, but they're great defensive coordinators. So we'll see what happens with that. But I promise you this much. I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. If Kenny Pickett is your quarterback, outside of maybe increasing points per game by 3 to 4 points, I don't really see the Pittsburgh Steelers and Kenny Pickett all of a sudden magically turning it around. All right, the true American dude, kick us off. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? It must really suck that you got to spend the first 36 minutes of your show today having to talk about that Pop Warner team on the river and then the Squealers over in that Pennsylvania State. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
I'm starting with the freshman team, then I moved up to JV, and I'm about to get to the varsity coming up here in just a moment.
Just a couple 3 points real quick. First of all, I want to give a shout out to my Valley View Spartans, who are one game away from going back and for the state Division 5 state championship. They play at Sydney Friday night at 7:00. They win that when they go back to state. They'll be playing in Canton. This is back-to-back years. They've won Region 20. And everybody, and I've told you this before, I've told Kev this before, I've got nothing against Trotwood and the Centervilles and the Fairmonts and the yada-yada-yadas, but there's 107 Division 5 high schools in the state of Ohio, and Valley View is one of the top 4 right now left. So that's pretty impressive, and I don't care what division it is, football's football. You still got to go block, execute, and tackle. And if they take care of business Friday night, which I believe they will, they'll be going back to state. Number 2, Webster's Dictionary, sports analyst. I'm going to go ahead and put everybody on the show that comes on before you, because these ass clowns you guys have, especially Mike Greenberg. I can't stand that guy. And the way he enunciates and he just makes me, first of all, he graduated from Northwestern, so I guess and there's nothing wrong with education. I got no problem with that. But the guy never played a down of football in his life, and yet he always is ripping the Browns and Carlin and Joe. And I can't stand Joe Fortenall. I'm getting all this. I'm going to change up my hamburger grill list, and I'm going to start a pancake list. I played offensive line. Nothing better when you pancake somebody. Long story short, Judas Modell, I'll give it to you. You won't be here this Sunday, right, at Frickers? You won't be there, right?
Unfortunately, no. Fortunately, I will not be in Florida. I'll be enjoying my time in Florida.
Well, that's cool. Have a good time. Long story short, the following week, I'll get it all together. I'll get it formatted, nice printing, so you can get it. Judas Modell is number 1. The whole Bengal, whatever you want to call them, they're number 2. I'll just give you the 1 and 2, and I'll give you that for the teasers, and I'll put the rest of them on in chronological order for you, and I'll have it nice. And
Matt, we'll hang it right up. In fact, we're on camera right now. I'll hang it right up behind me so that everyone can take a look at it every single day on the show.
Yeah, because I am so sick and tired of hearing about Collie McCalkin. He is injury prone. He's a punk ass. The whole organization's a punk ass. And right now we're sitting at 7-3, and that AFC is wide open.
Especially after last night's loss. I mean, they're right. The Browns are right there. They're right there.
And I like what Robinson did. I know he's a rookie. I'm not ready to fit him for a gold jacket by any means, and I'm not saying that. So Bengal fans, don't get your panties in a bunch. But the kid did what he had to do to get us in position to win a game. Sometimes you're going to win ugly. You're not going to blow everybody out every week. What's the margin of error or a margin of points in the NFL? It's like 3 to 4 points about every game. Nobody blows nobody out anymore. So I like our chances. I really don't see us. And I'm not worried about Denver because they're up and coming. Whoop-de-doo. Everybody, it's the flavor of the week with most of these analysts. So take one game at a time. Take care of Denver. Then we got the Rams. Then I don't have the list in front of me, the schedule in front of me. But I personally, I see us going 12-5. I don't know what you think, but I'll get off here so you can listen. Let the crybabies down on the river talk. Talk to you later. Have a good Thanksgiving, man.
There he is, Steve from Springboro, the true American. It's always nice to hear him ahead of the holidays. 'Tis the season to be Steve from Springboro. Shout out to the true American for calling it. We'll get to more of the Browns coming up here in just a moment. I wanted to get back to the comments that were flooding in before. I'm actually want to give some of you Bengals fans credit because I saw it lining up like a Christmas tree, and I just assumed the worst. I think some of you are becoming a little bit more self-aware about your team, and this will not be a trolling segment. I was a little defensive to start the show because of how beat up I got on social media. Like, social media is weird. I could post the same thing on Facebook and Twitter, and the reactions I'll get will be completely different. For one, Twitter, you post anything, Twitter is meant to argue. Like, I can't go out there like right now it's overcast and just kind of breezy out. I can go right now on Twitter and say, man, it's overcast and kind of breezy out. And some guy will make fun of your mom for posting that. Some guy will make fun of your uncle. Some guy will say you're horrible at your job just for posting a fact about it being overcast out there. Like, it just doesn't make any dang sense whatsoever. So you never know what kind of reaction you're going to get. The bottom line is, I don't think a hot take is that a quarterback that has missed that has been knocked out for a season-ending injury 2 times in his first 4 years, that has led his injuries that have led to a team having to dig themselves out of a hole pretty much every single year that he's been in the league. I don't think that that's a hot take, me saying that guy is injury prone. I don't. Now, to that individual's credit, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can constantly be hurt, constantly dig their teams in a hole, but consistently lead them deep into the playoffs like Joe Burrow can. So I'm willing to acknowledge that. I'm not blind to that. People kept trying to act like that stuff doesn't matter because of what they do in the playoffs. No, they're just fortunate. But at the same time, keep in mind, and you're seeing it this year, by the way, even if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, I don't know if this team's good enough to win the division. I also don't know, they're good enough to make the playoffs with Joe Burrow, but this Bengals team is not as good as what you guys thought coming in. I'm not hating. Let's just talk. You guys got mad at me at the beginning of the season. I said losing Perine and Hurst was a big deal. You told me I was wrong. I said losing Jesse Bates and losing Bell was a big deal. You said I was wrong. All right. Every time I say anything, you guys say I'm wrong. Now, to be fair, I'm wrong a lot about the Bengals. I've been proven wrong the last couple of years, but I kept saying the one thing I've been constant about is eventually the talent pool is going to dwindle down and the margin for error will become pretty tight. So what I mean by that is when Joe Burrow and the Bengals have started out slow, they've had so much talent that it's been easier to dig themselves out of a hole. You know why it wasn't as easy this year? Is because you have the worst run game in football. Your defense isn't very good. And to be honest, you've been very fortunate that there hasn't been a lot of injuries to your skill position players in years past. That luck's kind of gone out the window a little bit. Like T. Higgins has missed some time. Jamar Chase has been playing, but he's been pretty banged up. And now we have seen Joe Burrow without Jamar Chase and having to play with T. Higgins. We've seen Joe Burrow have to play with Jamar Chase and no T. Higgins. What we have not seen is T. Higgins and Jamar Chase having to play without Joe Burrow. Who are the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow? Because that's what makes the Cleveland Browns so fascinating. When I said it coming into the season that the Cleveland Browns are a better team than the Bengals, you mocked me. And I said, it's okay. I really wasn't going to get into it with you guys heavy coming into the year because I'm like, all right, there's no point in arguing. There's a team that's been to back-to-back AFC championships. I'm not going to win that argument with you guys. But when you have a team that is so dependent on your quarterback to dig you out of holes, you become vulnerable. You live and die by the quarterback. And the Cleveland Browns, although no Deshaun Watson, I'm not very confident about their Super Bowl chances now, but I'm very confident that this team is still good enough to make the playoffs and might accidentally find, because of the easy schedule that they have. If Joe Flacco ends up kind of hitting for them, they might flirt with, they might be a top 3 seed when it's all said and done. Now, if they don't win the division, obviously they'll be a 5 seed at the most and all that stuff. But look, there's still so much football left. I don't really care about that at this exact moment. But the bottom line is the Cleveland Browns have so much depth. I don't know why they're not getting more praise than what they are. Now, it's because it's the Browns, and I get that. They don't get any respect, and that's okay. They have been a laughingstock of the league for so long. They deserve the criticism that they get. I'm not here to tell you otherwise. However, I am here to tell you that if the black and gold lost a franchise quarterback for the year and lost the best running back in the NFL for the year, and yet they were 7-3 and were 1 game behind the best record in the AFC and 1 win away from being the number 1 seed in the AFC, we would be propping up the black and gold as if, oh my gosh, Mike Tomlin is he is a miracle worker. Hell, people are doing that now, and they're 6-4. The Cleveland Browns are a hell of a story that need to be talked about more. They're not being talked about enough. This defense, the last defense that was as dominant as this defense was that Baltimore Ravens defense in the 2000 or 2001 season when they won the Super Bowl. That's how good. We haven't seen a defense this dominant in 20 years. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to keep talking about it because they're worth talking about. The Browns have depth. They lost the best running back in the NFL. And they're still a top 10 running team in football. They've lost half their offensive line throughout the year. They just keep grabbing guys, plugging, chugging, and they keep on dominating. It doesn't make any sense. DeJuan Jones was a late draft pick that so many teams, including the Bengals, overlooked. And he has stepped up and he has dominated in the trenches. He dominated TJ Watt this past Sunday. We could talk about the fact that the offense and all this stuff for the Steelers struggled, this, that, and the other. The defense wasn't terrible, but at the same time, DeJuan Jones, he dominated TJ Watt this past weekend. Kudos to the Cleveland Browns for overcoming these odds, because we've seen the Bengals overcome odds the last couple of seasons. All right, the slow starts, the injuries, all that. Joe Burrow coming back, getting hot late in the season. But they flirted with disaster one too many times, and it caught up with them. The Bengals, going back to them for one moment, they were talented enough the last 2 years to overcome those slow starts. They were talented enough to overcome occasional injuries here and there. They are not talented enough anymore to do that. And I told you at the beginning, and you got mad at me. Mark Smith, and I see you guys in the comment section. That's fine. In the comment section, that's fine. You could be mad at me. But the bottom line is, I told you years ago, enjoy this roster now, because the roster will only continue to get worse as throughout Burrow's time in Cincinnati. It's easy when you have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and at the time an elite Joe Mixon and a balanced run game. It's easy when you had a top 10 defense because you had dollars to distribute everywhere like monopoly money. Now that the money has been tied in to Joe Burrow, now that money has been tied into key pieces on defense, now that money hasn't been tied in yet, but is being held off to the side because they have to pay Jamar Chase, they still have convinced you guys that they're going to keep T. Higgins. They are not. I'm calling it now. You will never see, unless T. Higgins changes his position to a defensive back, you will never see Joe Burrow complete a pass to T. Higgins ever again. That is done. You will never see Joe Burrow complete a pass to Tyler Boyd ever again. That's probably done as well. Like, I don't think you guys have realized how this era of the Joe Burrow run in Cincinnati is over. It's about to be a new era. And whether it's a good era or not is yet to be determined. That's all I have to say about that. We'll see what ends up happening. Technically, the Bengals are still mathematically in it. But, a backup quarterback to lead Cleveland to the playoffs is easy when you got a good offensive line, when you got a top 10 run game, and you got the best defense in football, and you still have Amari Cooper. It's not going to be even remotely even possible, in my opinion, for a backup quarterback in Cincinnati when you have a bad offensive line. And let's be clear, they're not bad, but for as much money as the Bengals spent on them, they're not. They shouldn't be as poor as they are. You know what I mean? Like, that offensive line is not good, considering how much money they spent on it, okay? You have the worst run game in football, and the defense isn't good. Now, luckily, you have T and Jamar and Boyd, but I don't know if that's enough. I just don't know if that's enough to overcome what the Bengals are going to have to overcome moving forward. I see a lot of Bengals fans saying, well, now we're going to learn about who Zach Taylor is as a coach. Leave him alone. Zach Taylor has led you to back-to-back AFC championship games. Zach Taylor has led you to a Super Bowl. If things start to derail here, that's not on Zach Taylor. That's called a team that was so dependent on a quarterback being out for the year. That's what that's called. That's called the impact of losing Joe Burrow. That's not on Zach Taylor. It's just not. I can't believe I'm such a Zach Taylor defender. I just think you guys are very, very hard on Zach Taylor, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair. It's the Kenner and Kev Show here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Okay, now I see the phone lines lighting up. Let's get to your phone calls. 518-1410. If I don't answer it right away, please, for those who are calling in now, keep calling back. I'm going to get you guys on hold. Let's get to your comments next. It's the Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Help me out, guys. I'm going to lose my voice. You need to call in so y'all can talk, because I won't last the full 3 hours. We'll be right back.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Shop Black Friday every day and get the best new deals all month long only at Lowe's. Right now, buy one DeWalt 20-volt max 4-tool combo kit. Get 2 select tools free. That's up to a $438 value. Plus, get up to 50% off select vanities, faucets, and shower heads. Shop in-store and online today, because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Pro football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season. So he does 2 things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing.
2 things at once!
or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
Two things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Black Friday is Dell's biggest sale of the year. Save on laptops like the XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform and more. Shop now at Dell.com/deals.
Every Thursday at 3 p.m., Kinner and Kev will kick off the show with the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Paul Keels. Don't miss the Kinner and Kev Show, weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
We are Dayton's new radio home of the Wright State Raiders, and we'll have more Wright State basketball coming up later on tonight. Game 2 of the Gulf Coast Showcase. Wright State winners last night, 91-85 over Louisiana. They'll have Hofstra coming up later on tonight, and then they'll take on Buffalo tomorrow to wrap up the Gulf Coast Showcase, and then they'll have about a week off, but then they'll have their first league game, but they got a lot of big non-conference games still coming up, and you can catch that all right here on Dayton's new radio home with the Wright State Raiders, 1410 ESPN Radio and 101.5 Hank FM. I love the fact that we have Wright State on WING, by the way. I love the fact that, we have Ohio State basketball on WING as well. If you're a college basketball fan, it seems like, 3 or 4 nights a week, we have college basketball airing right here on 1410 Wing AM. So that's pretty cool. So make sure you check out. We have Ohio State and Wright State schedule listed at wingam.com. If you're a college basketball fan, I promise you more nights than not, there'll be college basketball on. We had Wright State on, Ohio State on Sunday, Wright State on last night, tonight, and tomorrow. And then we'll, of course, have Ohio State on Friday. So, again, we hope everyone that enjoys college basketball enjoys listening to it right here on 1410 Wing AM. Apologize for my voice. I feel 1,000,000% better today. I don't think I've been that sick in a long time over the weekend, coming out of the holiday help out, just kind of being out in the cold and all of that. And you don't realize, no offense, but you're dealing with so many people throughout the day, and you're just handing off items, and you're just catching germs galore and all that. I'm not like a big germaphobe by any means, but it didn't surprise me that I got as sick as I did. But I feel a lot better, and there's no way, with everything going on, the NFL right now with the game. We'll talk Ohio State, Michigan coming up here in just a bit. I wanted to make sure that we provided as much airtime for you guys this week as possible, because I know we're going to be off Thanksgiving and Friday. And all that stuff heading into the weekend with the game, which you can catch Ohio State, Michigan right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Noon kickoff, 10:30 coverage begins. So it's talking about the injury proneness of Joe Burrow. And I'm here to tell you, if you guys think I'm here attacking your team, I'm not. I'm a fan of a team that has an injury-prone quarterback as well. Deshaun Watson has missed a lot of time because of these sexual assault allegations, which is gross in itself. I completely agree. I've never condoned that. I've never once gone on these airwaves and said, hey, I don't think Deshaun did it, or hey, I don't think what Deshaun got accused of is a big deal. I've never said any of that stuff. I've just said at the end of the day, he's the quarterback of the team that I watch, and there are questionable characters. Every person that's listening is a fan of a team that has some questionable cats on it. Every fan that is listening to this show is a fan of a team that has a dude or on the team or a gal that has done something shady in their life that I'm pretty sure you don't support, and is not an indictment of who you are as a fan or a person. So can we stop with the laziness? Like, this is how I know when I make good points. When you guys have nothing else to counter my good points with other than, oh, you support the sexual abuser, blah, 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 blah. I hope you know that makes you sound 1,000,000% stupider than anything that you're trying to make me sound like. Because we all know how sports works, and we all know how professional athletes are. I'm not saying that they're all bad people, but they all make questionable life decisions. Us poor people make questionable life decisions. Like, let's just stop with this, like, holier than thou. Oh, I'm always reading my Bible. I only support teams with God-fearing people. And, like, guys, stop with that. Like, we're talking sports. That's what this is about, okay? We're not going to sit here and get into a holy war over which team has more, Christians and churchgoers on there than the other one. Let's just stop with that nonsense. We're talking sports. Let's keep it to that. Now, here's the other argument that always gets thrown in my face. The contract to Deshaun Watson. That's a beyond fair thing to throw in my face, but it's also hypocritical, because up until 2 months ago, when the Cincinnati Bengals finalized their richest contract in NFL history with Joe Burrow, Deshaun Watson's contract was fair game. Deshaun Watson only makes 10 more million guaranteed than what Joe Burrow does, but Joe Burrow makes way more than Deshaun Watson. So if we are going to say, and if we're going to say that Deshaun Watson is a waste of money, you got to be careful what you say about Joe Burrow moving forward, because who knows? These injuries keep piling up. He had 2 major injuries in one 3-month stint. He injured the calf twice. And the injury that knocked him out for the year wasn't the one that we had anticipated. I kept anticipating that calf was going to wear down and that would be what would knock him out for the year. And no, it was a ligament in the wrist or the hand or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you guys need to be careful with throwing that stuff around, because karma is a fill in the blank. The success of all of our teams, whether you are a Titans fan, whether you're a Bengals, a Steelers, a Ravens, a Browns, or whoever your team is, if you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have anything. That's why you made fun of the Steelers earlier. You can fire your offensive coordinator. You could fire your head coaches. You could fire your general managers. You could bring in a whole new cast of characters. But unless one of those characters is an elite level quarterback, you're still just going to be running in place. And the bottom line is this. The Browns took a swing, and I don't think they've completely missed on Deshaun Watson. The Browns are a 500 team with Deshaun Watson going back to his starts from last year and this year. All right, the Browns are a completely different team from the amount of points that they score, okay, to their efficiency rating on offense, to their passing efficiency, to even their run efficiency when he's out there. He elevates them. And that's the scary thing, and that's what's unfortunate for the Browns. Deshaun Watson has yet to get to the form that we saw of him in Houston, right? So it's a night and day difference of the Browns with Deshaun versus without. And even with Deshaun, we're sitting there saying, oh yeah, we need to see more of that though. That second half against the Ravens, that's what's unfortunate. He never got a chance to build on that. Now, the people that hate Deshaun, you don't feel bad for him, and I don't expect you to. That's fine. But from a Browns fan perspective, when you have an elite level quarterback like that had an elite performance, 14 of 14, 136 yards. Yes, Kenner, I'm going to hang the banner and always remember the 23 season for the perfect second half against the Ravens, okay? Because that was what they brought Deshaun over for. And Deshaun is out, and he makes a lot of guaranteed money, but so does your boy, Joe Burrow. So, is what it is. But just be careful with calling out the guaranteed contract and how bad that is, because the Bengals are on the cusp of potentially signing a bad contract if Joe Burrow's health concerns continue moving forward. Let's go to Brian. Brian, thanks for holding, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. You're on live, so don't cuss me out.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. But I do have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question about something you had said directly last segment, and maybe a comment regarding the clown that called in at some point, something about being true American. So my question to you is you said something about the Browns don't get any respect, but my question would be, like, the record is what there is this year. They're being touted as defense. What does more respect look like? I mean, what does that look like to you, I guess? Or maybe other respectable Browns fans, not that guy, but like, what does more respect mean this year when you have an injured quarterback that, was expected to take you to the next level in light of the circumstances?
Hey, Brian, repeat that last part. You faded out, man. I want to hear what you said. Just repeat it if you don't mind.
Yeah, mainly what does more respect look like to any Browns fan, including yourself, when you say that they're not getting any respect? Like, in light of an injured quarterback right now, but an elite defense, I mean, what does more respect look like, to you or anybody else?
I think it comes down to, for one, like anytime anyone does talk about the Browns and the storyline that they're kind of playing out right now, it's constantly met with, yeah, well, they're the Browns. And the reason I push back on that is, well, if they were the Browns, is the Browns mantra usually is a team that finds ways to lose. And I'm very well aware of that. I've suffered through it. But that's not what this team is. This team has every excuse to lose. You lose Nick Chubb for the season. Deshaun's been in and out of the starting, being in and out of as the starting quarterback. You have had to play multiple games with a third string quarterback, now playing with a rookie quarterback drafted in the 5th round. The Browns is the Browns was a slogan that was made up about a team that constantly found the wildest ways to lose, and they're not doing that this year, and they have every excuse to lose, and yet it's still met with that same lazy, oh, well, the Browns is the Browns. I'm not asking for a parade. I'm not asking for, oh, they should lead every Sports Center segment or anything like that, but it is wild that, Mike Tomlin could have the same record as the Browns, and he has everyone healthy and starting and has the same record as the Browns, and he's a legendary head coach doing unthinkable things. but you have Kevin Stefanski, who has had to juggle 100 different balls with two hands right now, and he is keeping this team afloat, one of the best teams in football. I guess that's what I mean by that, Brian, no, when people say the Browns is the Browns, more years than not, that's the case, but it's definitely not this year.
Yeah, I think that's a fair argument, especially if you bring the Tomlin situation into it. That's definitely a fair point. But I guess it's just, it's ingrained in most of the sports world that, with Cleveland's lack of success, going back decades.
They haven't been. The banner year for them since coming back has to be that 2020 Baker Mayfield year when they beat Pittsburgh in front of no one with Stefanski coaching from his basement. That's the banner accomplishment that they've had. And I guess the fact that they almost beat Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City in the AFC divisional round. So look, and to your point, and by the way, I don't think that a 7-3 record with 7 games to go still should all of a sudden be, people be crowning them anything other than the Browns at this point. To the Browns' credit, or not to the Browns' credit, but to everyone else's credit, the Browns can go on to make the playoffs this year. Let's say they win the wild card round and they get knocked out in the divisional. They have to follow it up with another playoff appearance. They have to follow it up with another great 10-plus win season. They have to start being consistent. It can't be make the playoffs one year, miss it for a couple, then make it 1 year, miss it for a couple. They have to start being consistent. And to the Bengals' credit, they've been consistent when Joe Burrow's been out there, and that's going to be the key moving forward.
Absolutely, because I believe you said the year that they made it with Baker Mayfield, that was a one-off. They didn't make it the next year, right? So
and we were expecting them to, and then like that dang injury that happened, and that's it was a whole snowball effect of things that kept going wrong. But again, the Browns is the Browns. They kept finding ways to lose, and that's not the vibe this season. They're getting injuries to key players, and they just keep trucking along. But consistency has to be the key. It's not just what they do this year; it's what they do to build on it for next year. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what you say is factual about Burrow is injury prone. But, a root cause of that, though, is the Bengals just have to get better at drafting linemen. He's not had good protection since he came into the league.
No, he's been, and that's what's wild too. We talked about, everyone's eyes get so big when they see how many times Andrew Luck was sacked in his first 4 years in the league, and Joe Burrow has 20 more sacks than he does. He has 20 more regular season sacks. That's not including the 24 postseason sacks that he has had throughout his career as well. So the guy's been hit a lot, and we always use, Brian, we always use sacks as a metric to show how many times a quarterback has got hit. How many times has Joe Burrow, Brian, been hit after he releases the ball and the defender knocks him to the ground, right? Or, he gets hit, scrambling out, and it's not even technically counted as a sack, but he's trying to extend a play and gets blasted on the sideline. He gets hit so much that, unfortunately, I'm not saying it's starting to add up now, but you hope that that's not the case while these injuries are starting to pile up.
Yeah, because if they don't change things, he will make a short career exit similar to Andrew Luck, since you brought him up and, they're using his stats from when he played. He can't endure this type of punishment and have a long career. Longer than Luck. That's just not going to happen.
No, it's not. And that's why, when that's why I always kind of, and Bengals fans get mad at me, but when I hear Joe Burrow say, well, the Super Bowl window is always open as long as I'm here, I disagree with that. I think that the biggest puzzle piece is the quarterback, and they have the biggest puzzle piece to that Super Bowl equation, but the rosters are kind of getting less talented every year. Look at what Patrick Mahomes is doing. I don't feel bad for Patrick Mahomes. You don't. Nobody does. It's not a Chiefs fan, because he had so much talent early on, but as now the money is getting bigger, their roster's dwindling, and the Bengals is slowly starting to happen to them. It's happening to the Bills right now. That's why everything's cyclical as far as that's concerned. That's why the NFL, the parity, that's why the NFL is the healthiest of all the sports right now.
Sure. And every fan base has their mouths, and they're unrealistic people, but, people that call in and say Burrow's a punk. If that he's not a punk. So, for that guy to just call in and say he's a punk, I'd like for him to call back in and, explain that out. Why do you think he's a punk? If you don't like the Bengals, that's fine. If you think he's injury prone, hey, that's factual, just like you're saying. But just to call in and say he's the punk and the whole franchise is, a bunch of punks. Well, that doesn't help anything. But, it's like that in every fan base.
Nope.
No question.
I get it. And I'm one of those, I could be nice some days and I toe the line the others. So, I play both sides with that. But no, I completely get what you're saying as far as this is concerned. But as I said earlier, people that think I'm happy about the Burrow injury, I absolutely am not. He is the straw that stirs the drink to this show and to all sports shows, especially here in the state of Ohio. But it will be interesting to see who the Bengals are without him, because it's been a while since we've seen the Bengals without him. As much as we talk about his injury proneness, he at least is out there a lot of the time. We haven't seen the Bengals this late in the season without him since his rookie year. So we'll see what happens. They're still mathematically in the hunt. Who knows?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thanks for taking my call and answering the question.
Anytime, Brian. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. All right, good stuff. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks.
When there's no time to make food for your holiday party, carry out 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $34.99. Give the gift that always fits, a $25 Frickers gift card, and get 5 frickin' bonus bucks free. Let them get what they really want.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine better with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil, only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limits apply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Dell's Black Friday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or gaming setup powered by Intel Core processors. Shop now at Dell.com/deals to take advantage of huge savings and free shipping. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
For $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see our full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check us out online at columbusequipment.com.
Need legal help? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Have you heard about our new help center? It's located at the Montgomery County Courthouse, providing legal information and forms. And we also share programs and resources that may be available to you. Let us help you navigate the court system. Visit us online at courthouse2u.com for more info.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Thanksgiving done right starts at your neighborhood Discount Drug Mart. Fresh produce, groceries, and the best selection of wine around, all at one convenient place. Discount Drug Mart is open Thanksgiving until 6 p.m. for all your last-minute needs.
All right, hour number 2, Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. How about this? I just saw this on the old Twitter machine. So apparently there is a new double dry hopped hazy pale ale called Stealing Signs. It's being released by Ohio-based Saucy Brew Works. It'll be released on Friday, a day before the Ohio State-Michigan game, of course. I'm not familiar with Saucy Brew Works. Are you guys? Where's it? It's based out of Cleveland, and they are releasing this beer on Friday ahead of the Ohio State-Michigan game, of course, and it's called Stealing Signs. I love it. I love the play off of all of this heading into the game coming up on Saturday. And look, it's wild. The coverage of all of this called Saucy Brew Works, again, the name of the brewery in Cleveland. It's called Stealing Signs. It's a double dry hopped hazy pale ale. It'll be released. I have to get my hands on that. We have to toast with this drink. Like, I don't know what I got to do between now and Saturday, or I guess it's not available till Friday, but is it going to be available here in the Miami Valley? I mean, is it just going to be in Cleveland? Like, I think, Kev's going to be there. I think it was Steve, but I owe him beer still. I owe him, maybe I have to get him 2 cases of beer just for one of these. I got to text Kev. We got to get Kev. Kev, if you're listening, call into the show. I got to make sure that you're going to be in Cleveland this week for Thanksgiving. I need you to get the show some of these. Saucy Brew Stealing Signs. And it has it doesn't have Michigan on it, but it's a yellow can. It has blue stripes around it and has a guy that looks like Harbaugh on it. I need this. I need this beer. I need it like I've never needed anything in the world. I need it so badly. Kev has to come through. I got to get, I almost want to go to commercial break and be unprofessional just so I can call Kevin and say, you got to get this, dude. You got to get it. I think he will. He'll come through in the clutch. I mean, he's probably going to be a little upset with me because I still owe him beer from the first time. All right. But it is what it is. So there it is. But nonetheless, what's this coming through? Chad says, that's hilarious. Remember when Ohio State played Florida for the championship, they sold gator meat at Kroger. So, just taking advantage of it, everything, just the hype of everything right now. But we've talked about this with Paul Keels, the voice of the Buckeyes. Last week we had Paul on. We have him on every week. We won't have him on this week, unfortunately, because Thanksgiving falls on a Thursday. And every year we talk about this being the most hated rivalry in college athletics or in college sports, right? Especially college football. And the thing of it is, the thing that's most wild to me is every year we say, man, the buildup to this is unlike anything before. Like, I don't think the buildup to an Ohio State-Michigan game has ever been more hate-filled than what it is right now. And I had some guy go off of me last night on my Facebook page, on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, saying, oh, man, you're beating a dead horse. And I mean, let me ask you guys, and Michigan fans, of course, will say yes, because no fan wants to hear about their team cheating every single day. Well, that's just too damn bad. You shouldn't get mad at me. You should get mad at your team, because your team, they felt like it was a necessity to be a coward to go and cheat. And then there's certain fans that act like cowards that support it. So I don't understand that. I don't think that's a dead horse that's being beat right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest topic in sports right now is the cheating scandal at Michigan. And as I've stated before, it is so silly what they did, which is what makes all of this even more ridiculous to begin with. Like, I agree when people say this really isn't that big of a deal. And I'm like, I agree with you, which is why the fact that they let it get to this point is the big deal. Like, that's what's wild. I'll never forget the day that the reports initially started coming out. I initially, all right, because people say, oh, Kenner, you backtracked. And I acknowledged I backtracked, because when the stuff started coming out, like, oh, that they were stealing signs. And I'm like, yeah, stealing signs happens all the time. It happens in high school. I mean, there's times, especially if you play a high school football game on Friday or on a Thursday night, and you have an upcoming opponent that's playing the next night, you're going to send coaches over there. You're going to be, eyeing the sidelines and stuff, and you're going to be picking up on some cues. Yeah, that's kind of normalized behavior, right? But I'm also here to tell you that if the OHSAA all of a sudden out of nowhere snapped their finger and said, hey, no more of that, you're not allowed to in-person scouting for basketball or football, but then Centerville High School is paying individuals to go to Miamisburg High School to spy on their team, or going to Huber Heights to spy on Wayne, I promise you that would be a big deal, even though, hey, that was a normalized practice. But if the OHSA says no more, and yet you find a conniving way to go a backdoor way to still do what you do, yeah, now it's a thing. You know what I mean? Like that's, I guess. So initially I said, oh, this isn't a big deal, but I also wasn't aware of all the rules that were in place about this and all that. And although the rules are kind of silly, the rules are the rules, right? Like that's just kind of the reality of it. So anyways, I do think that was something that started out so stupid has snowballed into something that is such a major deal. And it's no longer about the rules that were broken. It's about the way that they have gone about acting up throughout all this. Like, who are you to hold me accountable? Who are you to get mad at me? I'm Michigan. We just won our 1,000th game in program history, even though one of our wins, if you look at their school history, one of their 1,000 wins was against Ann Arbor High School. Explain that to me. Have you guys seen that on social media? They've kind of combed through the 1,000 wins of the Michigan program. And one of those wins decades and decades ago was against Ann Arbor High School. They are counting wins over high schools in their 1,000th wins history. More power to you. More power to you. So, and to be fair, it's not just a Michigan thing. There was a little TikTok that went through where they combed through a lot of like major programs of like a lot of YMCA teams. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but it just sounded funny that Ann Arbor High School was one of the first wins for Michigan. But a lot of teams played ridiculous opponents back in the day. It is what it is. So, see, I'm fair, kind of. I'm semi-fair, but it does look weird. Let's just be honest. Anyways, I say all of this. We had Paul Keels on last week. I said, this has to feel different. This feels like more hate-filled. This has a more hate-filled build than any other time. And I went back and I listened to the last 10 years worth of interviews from the coaches, because we carry the coaches show here on 1410 Wing AM. And every year, as much as Urban Meyer hates Michigan, hates Jim Harbaugh, and I say hate within a rivalry aspect, right? I've never truly felt hate before until this year. Ryan Day is a very happy-go-lucky type of guy, kind of a do-gooder. Like, I get the do-gooder vibes from him. But I've sensed a very uptight, angry Ryan Day this year. And that's the Ryan Day I like. I remember watching him on the sidelines last year in that Georgia game, and I remember saying, hey, where was that guy been? Because I'm like, I look at Ryan Day, and it's like he's just a big thumb. He's just dull. I don't get it. It's Ohio, like when people commit to the Buckeyes, they're committing to Ohio State. I don't know if they're committing to Ryan Day. What is it about Ryan Day? And then I saw him on the sideline in the Georgia game, and I'm like, that's what we must not get privy to see often, because that's been lacking. That fire, that energy. Urban was so intense. He was such an angry individual. He ate, he drank, he slept, he did everything was about football, to the point to where it complicated his health. So to go from that to Ryan Day, it was kind of a weird adjustment for fans. Like, we didn't feel the same intensity, and it's hard to match the intensity of a guy that his intensity, basically pushed him out of football because of his health complications because of it. So Ryan Day's kind of matched that this year. So I was listening to a lot of these interviews in the past, and a lot of it was still like, hey, this is the game we think about every single year. Every 364 days a year, we are training for this game, yada, 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 preparing for this game, yada, yada, yada. You get the same talking points every year. Folks, we're not getting those talking points this year. All right, Harbaugh, there are clips of him talking about the respect he has for the rivalry. Even with some of the digs he's taken at Ryan Day in the past, born on third base and all those types of things, okay? That's a jealousy thing from Harbaugh, because when he took over Michigan, it was an absolute crap show. And Harbaugh had to work harder to get Michigan to where they are now than technically what Ryan Day has had to do to get to where they are now. But getting mad at Ryan Day because he's the head coach of a healthy program while you took over just a crap pile, don't get mad at Ryan Day for that. Ohio State they're one of the top programs in the nation for a reason. I don't care if Michigan has had just a blip in the radar type of success window the last 2 years. I don't think they're a healthy program like Ohio State. Harbaugh leaves, and we're all talking about, man, Michigan's going to disappear for a while. Ryan Day leaves, and no offense to Ryan Day, because I like Ryan Day. If Ryan Day just ups and leaves and takes the Texas A&M job, I don't think do any of you Buckeye fans fear, man, if Ryan Day leaves, we're screwed? No. But you know what Michigan fans are saying? Man, if Jim Harbaugh leaves, we're screwed. Like, that's the difference in the programs. Ohio State is a healthy, established program. Michigan is Harbaugh. And we've come to find out what Harbaugh is. And he's a cheater. And he's a coward. And he is delusional. I played this clip for you yesterday. The build to this is unlike anything I've experienced as a Buckeye fan before. This is not a friendly rivalry. This isn't even your typical Ohio State-Michigan game. This is personal. Michigan, look, I do believe that there will be dirty plays on Saturday on both sides of the ball. I'm not trying to make Michigan be the bad guy here. I think you're going to see Buckeye players take cheap shots. I think Michigan players are going to take cheap shots. I urge Buckeye fans who are going to the game that are listening to this, be careful. I'm not trying to incite fear or anything like that, but I just feel like with alcohol mixed, I'm telling you, we have had heated discussions with Michigan fans. It gets heated. You feel the anger in them. They are pissed off. They hate us. They hate you. What do you think is going to happen in the big house when they start putting up some points on Ohio State's dominant defense? You think they're going to look at you and say, man, this is a good game, buddy. Go blue, right? No. They're going to start talking some crap. What happens if Ohio State starts running all over Michigan? What's going to happen in the big house when you get a little cocky and you get a little arrogant because you had some liquid courage in you, and you look over at the wall of Michigan fans sitting around you saying, oh yeah, what now, cheaters? You're kind of outnumbered. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm not hoping this happens. I have friends that are going to this game. I'm like, man, I'm not saying I wouldn't go, because if I got tickets, I'd be there in a heartbeat. But I would be very concerned about what the attitude is going to be that day. It's always up a notch for this. But this isn't your typical Ohio State-Michigan rivalry game. This is personal. Jim Harbaugh yesterday was asked about, does he respect Ryan Day? Take a listen. Jim Harbaugh was asked in his press conference, does he have respect for Ryan Day? And this was his answer.
Jim, this rivalry has always been heated, of course. It seems like there's always been a fair level of respect between the coaches. It's hard to determine what that is right now. What would you say is your respect level for Ryan Day and their staff?
It's all about our preparation for Ohio. The days, the minutes, the hours, everything leading up to this game. That's where our focus is. Preparing ourselves and planning, gonna practice and then execute. So, anything else is irrelevant, when you get into this kind of big game week.
All right, so he didn't answer the question, and sometimes what you don't say is louder than anything you can say. Because here's the deal. You know why they call it coach speak for a reason? You notice there was no coach speak. And by the way, as media members, we love that. I think coaches' interviews more times than not are pointless. I don't think they accomplish much. They're all scripted. If you go and you take a lot of coaches' interviews, and not all coaches, I think some coaches are actually they give a lot of insight into how they truly feel about how their team performed that day, or about whatever's going on, if it's a scandal or anything else. Some coaches will be more descriptive than others, but more times than not, you're not going to get anything from them. And it's not because they're bad people, but that's because they are trained in the PR department of, okay, don't give the media any talking points. But sometimes there are talking points. Sometimes there are storylines so big that sometimes what you don't say is louder than what you do say. And Harbaugh could have not taken the high road here. I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he thoroughly hates Ryan Day. I think he hates Ohio State. And as a fan, I love this because it's making this game and the build-up to this 1,000,000% more entertaining. If Jim Harbaugh would have responded, hey, what's your, listen to the question again at the beginning.
Jim, this rivalry has always been heated, of course. It seems like there's always been a fair level of respect between the coaches. It's hard to determine what that is right now. What would you say is your respect level for Ryan Day and their staff?
All he had to say. All Harbaugh had to say to that question, look, man, this rivalry is what it's all about. We respect the rivalry. We respect the opponent. And, we just got to go out there prepared to play. He doesn't even call him Ohio State. He says Ohio. Like, Jim Harbaugh is amazing. I'm a big fan of his, despite the fact that I've just been doing nothing but burying him because he's a character. And the characters make these rivalries so much more entertaining. That's why the rivalry was at its peak when you had Urban Meyer against Jim Harbaugh, because Urban Meyer was just this intense warrior of a coach. And then you had this goofball of a coach in Jim Harbaugh, who was a character, but also added flair to the rivalry. Urban Meyer against Jim Harbaugh, you couldn't top it up until this year. This is the biggest game in the history of this rivalry. Not even close. Not even close. Because this isn't, like I said earlier, there's always been respect in this rivalry. There's no respect this time. The players hate one another. The coaches hate one another. Harbaugh, do you have any respect for Ryan Day? And he doesn't even give an answer. He just ignores it. Sometimes what you don't say is louder than what you say. So Ryan Day was interviewed by Tom Tiberi, and I thought this was an interesting soundbite. Ryan Day also could have gone in a direction to diffuse a lot of the talking points. Ryan Day, all he did, in a non-combative way, was added more fuel to the fire, basically saying that there's plenty we have to say about this. He even alluded to, hey, what has been going on the last couple of years? Well, what do you think that's about? Listen to this soundbite. I love it. Ryan Day, he's pissed, and you can hear it, and he doesn't say much, but like I said, take a listen to this. This is more about what Ryan Day doesn't say or what he alludes to, what he wants to say but won't. I love this too. Take a listen.
Yeah, well, it's like that every year, right? I mean, this game comes every year, and this is how you're evaluated. We know that, and we've learned a lot about what's gone on the last couple of years, and so we're going to be really prepared to play in this one.
There's been a lot said over the last couple of years. There's been a lot going on the last few weeks, investigation, everything. You've taken the high road on the whole thing, and you're continuing to do that.
Yeah. I don't think it does any good to comment on it right now. I think there'll be a time and place for that. What matters is this game and getting our guys prepared to go win it.
Interesting. A lot of talk, a lot of things to pull away from that. How about when he said, well, we kind of have a good idea of what's been going on the last couple of years. Well, what do you think that's a shot at? So what Ryan Day has done now is given so many talking points to the opposition now. Oh, look at Ryan Day making excuses. They got beat down the last 2 years. So, of course, he's going to say what they've been doing the last couple of years to kind of, and by the way, that's smart on Ryan Day's part. Ryan Day's no dummy. He said it at the beginning. He knows that the results of this game are based on how you're evaluated as a coach. And he knows he has failed in that department because he has lost this game. I defended Ryan Day last year. I said, look, I think too much is being made about this rivalry nowadays. I think today's modern college football landscape, I think it's dangerous to put this game above everything else. Because back in the day, it used to be about, man, if you don't beat Michigan, you have no chance at winning a national championship because you can't get to the national championship game without winning a Big Ten championship, and you can't win a Big Ten championship without beating Michigan, or vice versa. That's not the case anymore. The conference championships don't mean a whole hell of a lot. Now, they kind of do now thanks to the new reformatted 12-team college football playoff. But at the end of the day, if you don't win the Big Ten, if you don't beat Michigan and you don't get to the Big Ten championship, Ohio State's still going to be a playoff team every year. Ohio State will still continue to have opportunities to win a national championship. It's not as if this guardrail is in the way and the only way to get past it is by beating Michigan. You could lose to Michigan, still get to the playoff, and still have a position, an opportunity to win a national championship. That's why last year I was so happy to see them make the playoff, even with losing to Michigan, because I wanted that to be my aha point to all of you that live in the past. That, yes, you want them to beat Michigan, but at the end of the day, I want my team to win national championships. I've had Jim Tressel on the show before. And of course, I didn't get the answer out of him, but I tried my best. I said, Jim Tressel, I said, Coach, if you had to pick one of these scenarios, beat Michigan but not win a national championship, or win a national championship but you have to lose to Michigan, which one would you pick? Now, of course, in Vest fashion, he did the whole, well, you can't win a national championship without beating Michigan, but I'm not going to argue with the Vest, but no offense to him, and I love Jim Tressel, and he's a Browns fan. That's the connection him and I had on the show. He was wrong. That might have been how it used to be. That's not how it is anymore. Michigan is no longer the roadblock to your ultimate goal of winning a national championship, and we saw that last year. They made the playoff. If that field goal that was missed as the ball dropped heading into the 2023 year, if that kick is made, we're talking about Ohio State curb stomping TCU in the national championship game. We're talking about Ryan Day being a national championship winning head coach while losing to Michigan back-to-back years and not winning the Big Ten championship back-to-back years. That is important. That's why I was so bummed. I was nauseated after that Georgia loss last year, more than so about the Michigan loss, because losing to Michigan didn't prevent anything from happening. It didn't prevent anything from it. Didn't, losing to Georgia did. Losing to Georgia kept Ohio State from winning a national title. Losing to Michigan just prevented you from winning a Big Ten title, but Michigan, they're obsessed with Big Ten titles. Ohio State, they're adults. They care about national titles. And that's what this is all about. But this season, this matchup, man, I'm here to tell you, if I had to pick Ohio State to win a national championship and lose to Michigan this year, or to beat Michigan and not win a national championship this year, I want them to kick the living snot out of that team up north. Shaw is banned from calling in until January. I want them to embarrass his team so bad that Shaw doesn't call in till February. I want it that bad because they cheated and it's gross. And those fans defended it, and they pretended that it all didn't matter. I want the Buckeyes to win a national championship every single year. But the fact that there are media members and fans out there that truly think what Michigan did was not that big a deal, maybe the initial act of it wasn't, but the act of defending it and acting like cheating the game was just no big deal is gross. And I don't accept that. And you shouldn't either. And the Maize and Blue fans out there, why you're defending that is beyond me. But that's the difference between Michigan fans and Ohio State fans. We know deep down, we want to beat you, but we know we don't need to beat you to accomplish our goal. You need to beat Ohio State because that's the ceiling for who you are as a program, because you ain't freaking good enough to win it all. You couldn't even beat TCU. And that's as simple as that. Ohio State, they don't need to beat Michigan because they're worried about national championships. Michigan, they need to beat Ohio State so they could brag about a three-peat. Cowards, cheaters, all of them. It's the Kinner and Kev Show right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
The forecast calling for rain and 41 tonight. We'll see clouds and 47 tomorrow. Sunshine and a high of 50 Thanksgiving Day. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night bites.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Folks, you show it, we'll feed it. Quality show feeds from Lowe's, Umbarger, Hunter at a great price, along with Sullivan Show products right here at Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. The holiday season should remind us that faith and family are the most important things in life. And we hope that you succeed in coming together this holiday season with those you love and in the process creating some generational memories. Holidays have this magical power to magnify small things to ever greater memories over time. What a return on investment. Happy holidays.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
Nothing slows my little girl down, except a stuffy nose. Mommy. That's why I use Sinex Children's Saline from Vicks. Sinex instantly clears mucus in everyday stuffy little noses with a gentle, ultra-fine mist designed for kids. Just Sinex? Breathe. Her stuffy nose is gone for now. And so is she.
Sinex Children's Saline. Sinex, breathe. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Discover wants everyone to feel special with live 24/7 customer service. Learn more at discover.com/credit card. Limitations apply.
Justin Kinner with you live here on 1410 ESPN Radio, and of course, streaming live at wingam.com, streaming live on iTunes, Odyssey, the iHeartRadio app, wherever you stream your live radio stations out there. We appreciate that you are doing so. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN radio station. Again, live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page as well. We were off camera for a couple of days with all the preparation and stuff going on for our Holiday Help Out Food Drive, which was a major success. Let me pull this up real quick. When I say a major success, so let me tell you guys about this food drive, okay? The goal was, so Steve Harvey had provided us with 50 turkeys to then partner with the Good Neighbor House, and we were doing this food drive to collect as much holiday meal items as possible to build up to about 50 Thanksgiving Day meals for as many of the families that we could feed here in the Miami Valley this holiday season, okay? So here's what ended up happening. We wanted 50, we got 110. we were able to build because of more local grocery stores stepped up. More of our listeners stepped up, and they started donating a bunch of turkeys as well. That was wild. That was pretty cool. So our goal was to help 50, then it turned into 110. We were able to make 110 complete Thanksgiving Day meals, along with $25 gift cards to package with them and deliver to the families or have them picked up. That is really cool. Now, there's more to this as well. We also distributed an additional 105 turkeys to families in the community through 3 other service organizations. This thing has gotten so big over the years, and we branched out to the Miamisburg location to help the Trotwood location. And since then, it's boomed even more. How about this? So between both locations, between the Firehouse in Miamisburg and the Firehouse in Trotwood, we also collected and donated more than 3,500 pounds of food to the Good Neighbor House, which will then distribute through 5 of their food pantries right here in the Miami Valley. Thank you, because that's not on us. That's on you guys. Like, we could pop this mic on and we can ask you guys to do whatever. You don't have to do it. You guys chose to do it. And then, you make us look good, but it ain't about making us look good. It ain't about making you look good. It's honestly about, 110 Thanksgiving meals were provided to families in need this holiday season. And then on top of that, 3,500 pounds of food. You guys kick ass, man. Like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I shared over the last couple of weeks in the buildup to this, not knowing it at the time, but growing up in a family that we didn't have a lot of money. And not knowing it at the time, our family benefited from food drives like this. And I had no idea. So looking back, and as you learn that as you get older, it's like, man, like, I'm fortunate to have the things that I do now, and wanted to make sure that we, take advantage of our platforms to give back to those families in need. It's not about us. I'm not trying to make it about that. My point is that there's a lot of people like me who grew up in situations like that, and I just want to make sure that we try to do our best to give back. And yeah, that's because of you guys. So thank you for that as far as that's concerned. All right, Ohio State, Michigan, the buildup has been unlike anything that we have witnessed in this rivalry ever. There has been some big, it's only the 4th time that both teams have been undefeated heading into the showdown. Michigan fans, there's a song, we don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan. Like, we don't like Michigan. We make our jokes. All right, there's some people that say, I'll run out of gas before I pull over at a gas station in the state of Michigan, right? Like, we hear it all the time. We hate Michigan. And sometimes it might have been a slogan. I think it was Bobby Carpenter, and I shouldn't say the name if I can't remember. I think it was Bobby Carpenter. It was a former Buckeye. Maybe Bobby Carpenter retweeted it, where, I never really hated Michigan. I just really loved Ohio State. And that player says, no, now I really hate Michigan because of everything that's been going on over the last, that's kind of come out the last couple of months, and everything that's been going on the last couple of years. And I truly believe that had the program come out and just said, okay, you caught us, we screwed up, self-imposed sanctions, the NCAA is still going to come down on us. The Big Ten may still suspend us, but at least a little humility. But they've gone the opposite direction. They've rallied around this. They've tried to make us sound like we're crazy for not liking cheaters. Like that they've made this worse. Blaming the Big Ten, blaming everyone else, like that's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. Chad Kinster on Facebook says, if OSU has done what Michigan has done, we would never hear the end of it from their fans. Bottom line, they cheated if the shoe fits, just like if the wristband fits. Just saying. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. So, it is what it is. Philip Reed, what up, Phil? Philip Reed says, if Michigan wins, Harbaugh won't get the credit. Is that correct? That's going to be in how someone like me, a talk show host, or you, a fan, however you want to position that. That's a good question. Technically, no. Ryan Day gets a win over Michigan. He gets a win. But then how Michigan fans are going to respond. They're going to say, well, it doesn't count because Harbaugh wasn't on the sideline. Well, it does count because the reason Harbaugh's not on the sideline is because he couldn't beat who was on the Buckeye sideline fairly for the last 2 years. Like, that's punishing Ryan Day with dumb talking points like that because your coach is a coward. That doesn't make any sense. So, Phil, that's a great question. If Michigan wins, does Harbaugh get credit for that win? No, I don't think, that's a great point when you talk about the coach's record against Ohio State. Michigan's record versus Ohio State with Harbaugh as the head coach would be this. But Harbaugh's record against Ohio State, like he's still only going to have 2 wins. Help me out, Buckeye fans. How will that be tallied? I know we don't want to think about that team up north winning this weekend, but if they do it without Harbaugh on the sideline, he doesn't get credit for that win, right? Like Michigan would get credit for the win, obviously. I mean, that'll be their biggest win in program history since beating Ann Arbor High School back in the day. I mean, let's be real. Because if they beat Ohio State on Saturday, that means they did it the right way. They just did it because they would have better players and they outcoached Ohio State. And you know what I mean? The right way. I think that there is no better way. We talked about the holiday help out and all the stuff that we did to give back to the community. I think if Ohio State loses, the one thing that they'll have to feel good about is what they did is they gave back to the program of Michigan. They made them feel worthwhile. Like they finally did something worth a damn because they've done nothing the last 2 years, all while puffing their chest out and bragging about it. They're embarrassing. Bottom line. All right. Let's see. Doug Toby says, Hairball does not care. He is trying to go out in a blaze of glory. He gone, win or lose. That's all the proof anyone needs. And then crap emoji head. So there you go. But Andrew Robbins says Michigan is sad and pathetic. They didn't need to cheat. To me, it just shows how Harbaugh can develop his players and win the big ones. They didn't need to cheat. I agree with you. I've always said this before, if programs, like if the mid-tier programs, like if an Iowa got caught doing this, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Iowa's never going to out-talent Michigan. Iowa's never going to out-talent Penn State or Ohio State. But if Iowa got caught doing this big cheating scheme to give themselves a competitive advantage, I would be like, you know what, Coach Ferentz, I don't respect it, but I understand it. Because Coach Ferentz will never out-recruit Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Now Iowa will never out-recruit Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, USC, UCLA, Oregon. You know what I mean? Like, it's that program that you would expect that from. I would expect that from a Maryland. They have the resources. They could get the talent there, but they'll never out-talent the top teams in the Big Ten. So Maryland would feel the pressure to cheat, to have to just put them in a position to maybe have a shot. I wouldn't say I would accept it, but I would understand it. I think the reason that this also doesn't make sense to a lot of people is because you're looking at Michigan saying, you're a historic program. You have good players. Why did you need to do this? It's pathetic. You're like the smart, nerdy kid in class that gets caught cheating, and everyone's like, what the hell's that guy's problem? Now, if I got caught cheating in class, people would be like, that makes sense. I mean, Kidder's a straight C student. He gets an A on this one. Hey, I understand. He needed that A to pass this class. Good for him. I understand. You don't condone Kinder cheating, but it makes sense. Kinder's kind of an idiot. All right. Well, what you don't have happen is the smart guy in class get caught cheating, and then you say, man, everyone else is kind of looking off their neighbor's papers, so no big deal. No, you're a coward. That's what it is. I don't get it. So, yeah, Andrew, I agree. I mean, I'm kind of complimenting Michigan. Like, you have a good head coach. You have talented players. Why did you feel you needed to do this? That's what doesn't make sense to me. If Iowa does it, it makes sense. If Maryland does it, it makes sense. Hell, let's look at UCLA for a minute. I'm not going to put them in the upper tier of teams coming into the Big Ten. If UCLA got caught doing this, I would be like, you know what? Yeah, UCLA have to pull off this cheating scandal, this type of scheme to keep up with USC. Yeah, that would make sense. But if USC got caught cheating to beat UCLA, then I'd be like, what are you doing? And that's what's happening here. Michigan is too good of a program to be doing this. Anyways, 518-1410. Who do we? Oh, Doug. Doug, thanks for holding. You still there?
Yeah, how you doing?
Not too bad. What you got for us?
I've been listening to the whole Michigan-Ohio State thing, and I guess I'm just not understanding this cheating thing, because I guess I feel like the rules just shouldn't be a rule, period. And not because they broke it, but it's like, if you find out somebody's signals, you're allowed to do that. We say you can do that, but you can't cheat and do it. So if you find out their signals, as good as Michigan found out the signals, then it don't give you an advantage. I don't understand that.
Well, then,
I mean, suppose somebody found out your signals, but they didn't go through the links that Michigan went through. How does that not still give you an advantage?
Well, let me flip that on you. You need to ask Michigan that. Why did they? And I see what you're asking, and it's a valid question. And it's a question I found myself asking initially at the beginning. But then when you start breaking down the lengths that Michigan went to orchestrate this long, drawn-out scheme, you start asking yourself, well, if it doesn't give them that much of an advantage, why would they go through all of that? It had to have given them – they have to have felt that they benefited enough from the results they were getting from it to continue to do it. So I'm with you, and I used to think that until you started hearing what they were doing and the lengths and how sneaky they were doing it. Clearly, it benefited them enough to where they felt like they had to be basically like a special ops mission as far as that's concerned. I also think there's a difference between picking up on a few hand signals on the sideline and literally knowing every single little tiny cadence and play that they are running before they even do. And I think that's the lengths of which they went. So I think it's a little bit more than just saying, oh, they stole a couple hand signals here and there.
I don't necessarily think that's true. And I like case in point, okay, last year, the Ohio State-Michigan game was really not out of reach until those two long runs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're 11-man front. So if I know you're going 11-man front, why am I going to run it? They ran it and bust through the first wall of containment both times, and that's what ended the game. That's the last thing I'm gonna do. If I know this is what you're gonna do, why would I run it?
Why would they go through the lengths to do what they did then? If it wasn't that beneficial, if it was just as simple as, hey, Ohio State's a bunch of bums, they can't tackle us, we don't even need to scout them, why would they do that then?
Well, see, that's why do anybody do it? Period.
No one else is doing that. No one else is doing what. No one else is doing the lengths of what Michigan's doing it though.
Oh, but they're doing it. They're doing it.
Not like Michigan.
Okay, not to the links, but for some reason you feel like you need to figure out what somebody's going to do by sneaking and knowing their signals. You feel like I'm gonna sneak and try to find their signals out to gain some sort of advantage. Now, yes, they didn't go through the links that Michigan go through, but why do you do it, period? Ohio State, I'm better than Michigan. I'm better than Iowa. I'm better than Illinois. Why do I even take time to find their signals out? And I'm not saying Ohio State do it, but I've been listening to ESPN and a lot of professional players, and they say people do it all the time and blah, 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 and it's cheating, and it ain't this bad, or it might be that bad. So my thing is, why do anybody do it to any degree? And if you do it to any degree, to me, then you feel like this is what you need to do in order to be able to beat this team. And that's whether you do it the legal way or the illegal way. You must feel like you need a crutch. And that's Michigan. If Michigan do it, Ohio State do it, if Alabama do it. Why even try to find out somebody's signals? Just go out there and beat them.
Well, look, I think for one, yes. If we're going to talk about that aspect. Yes. I mean, just go out there and out physical them and all that stuff, out skill them, out talent them, out coach them, do what you got to do. But I think that, when everything is so open in the field and, you can be able to kind of look over and kind of pick up on some things throughout the game, or, hey, last time we played them when they were doing this, they ran this or this, that, and the other. That's when people say that, okay, teams steal signs all the time, I think that's the gist of it. Like they're constantly have someone that's kind of looking over at the other sideline, trying to pick up on some of those. What the difference is there are rules in place like that 11.6.1 that I always joke about that just strictly prohibits like going to other team stadiums on game day and literally, pulling film and taping their sidelines and taking the, scouting opponents, advanced scouting opponents that you're going to play that season. They were just outright breaking those rules, and they weren't, ignorantly doing it. They knew what they were doing because they were so sneaky about with the way they were doing it. So I know what you're saying as far as like, well, why does anybody do it? Well, for one, any advantage that a team can get from kind of having an idea of what the opponent's going to do, they're going to try to find a way to do it. But no one has done it to the way that Michigan has done it.
That we know of.
Well, and then the Michigan is not as smart as everyone else then because they got caught.
Right. They got caught.
They got caught. Like, that's just the reality. They just dumb for getting caught because everyone says everyone else is doing it. Well, maybe, but everyone else has found a way to not get caught. And maybe we Buckeye fans, we should be careful. Maybe Ohio State's doing the same thing and they just haven't got caught yet. Well, we'll fight that battle when we get there. But for right now, Michigan cheaters, all of them.
Take it easy, man.
Adios, man. Appreciate you. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. Andrew Robbins says picking up on a trend or seeing a tell is a totally different than knowing what play is being run. And I've been asking Michigan fans this for a long time. Is there any Michigan fan out there that is actually appalled at what their team has done? That's what's wild. I haven't met one Michigan fan that is like, yeah, man, I'm just embarrassed by it because our team's good enough to do this without it. I just don't know. Every Michigan fan I know, they get defensive. They get angry. And I'm like, dude, this is you would think that my friends that are Michigan fans, I have clients here at work. And I feel like I could pick up the phone. Honest to God, I'm not joking. I feel like I can call certain clients at work right now and talk politics with them. Hey, we don't share the same political beliefs, but man, I can't believe your candidate, blah, 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 blah. And we'll be just fine. I could call up a couple of my clients now and say, you believe in God? What is wrong with you? And we'll be fine. But if I could pick up the phone right now and I talk to my client who's a Michigan fan and say, I can't believe your team cheated. Oh man, we might risk losing business. That's how wild these guys are right now. This is a cult-like following I have never experienced before. We could talk religion and be just fine. We could talk politics. We could disagree on religion, disagree on politics. Me and a couple of my clients were fine. We can't talk Ohio State, Michigan. We can't talk about the cheating scandal because that's how pissed off they get. It is the wildest thing. I have never experienced anything like it before. It is borderline comedy. You know those little commercials, Pure Michigan? I've been trying to get this hashtag trending for a while, Pure Michigan, Pure Comedy, because that's what all this is. Pure Michigan, pure comedy, all of it. We could talk, it's wild to me that I'm more comfortable talking oppositional politics and religion than I am about this Michigan cheating scandal. They get pissed off, and they're only pissed off because they're embarrassed. And instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, our team screwed up. No, they're going to die on that hill. And that hill is this Saturday at noon. I love my clients, by the way. So, go blue, I guess if I have to say it to keep some business on the books, but cheaters, all of you, man, oh man, man, oh man. All right. Man, oh man. My voice is about to tap out, folks. It's about to tap out. I don't know how much more I can go. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hungry for a great time? Maybe some great food? Then come on down to your neighborhood Submarine House. Try our oven-toasted deli subs, our mouth-watering salads, pizzas, appetizers, and more. And wash them down with a unique selection of craft beers while watching the big game on our big screens. With locations around Dayton, in Columbus, and our newest sports bar in Kettering, you're never far from a Submarine House. Subs, sports, spirits. Submarine House.
The Black Friday weekend sale begins this Friday at Boot Barn. Visit us in-store for savings on top quality pieces. Get up to $40 off cowboy boots for men and women. $20 off select work boots and select children's boots for under $50. We're closed Thanksgiving Day to spend with family, but we look forward to seeing you Black Friday weekend for our biggest sale of the year. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Shop Black Friday every day and get the best new deals all month long only at Lowe's. Right now, buy one DeWalt 20-volt max 4-tool combo kit. Get 2 select tools free. That's up to a $438 value. Plus, get up to 50% off select vanities, faucets, and shower heads. Shop in-store and online today because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
I'm not going very far.
It's too uncomfortable.
I'm in a hurry. Sometimes I just forget.
There's no such thing as a good excuse for not buckling up. You're not only putting yourself at risk of injury or death, it could also cost you lots of money. Cops are writing tickets, so why take the risk? Do the smart thing and start buckling up every trip, day or night. Click it or ticket. Paid for by NHTSA.
Santa here. I used to shop online, but they don't have anything in stock. Now I go to the Hobby Shop, where I save money by getting fun and exciting gifts in stock from a locally owned small business that beats Amazon. The Hobby Shop near the Dayton Mall has the latest RC planes by E-Flight and the hottest radio control trucks from Axial. Want to go fast? The Hobby Shop has Arma RC cars in stock that go over 80 miles per hour. Keep your dollars local. Their shelves are stocked at the Hobby Shop, just north of the Dayton Mall, across the street from Lowe's. Call 436-6161.
Do you have an old sports program, baseball, photo, ticket, or game-used equipment just collecting dust? Sports Investments wants to buy your sports memorabilia. They're also interested in old sports cards and also buying political, aviation, and entertainment items. Bring your collectibles to Sports Investments and get a fair value on the spot. If you decide to sell, they'll pay you immediately. Sports Investments is the largest buyer of memorabilia and cards in the area since 1993. Sports Investments also feature the best selection of autographed memorabilia, sports cards, and other collectible items for sale, including all your favorites like Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Bengals, the Browns, the Big Red Machine, UC, XU, UK, NKU, UD, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, just to name a few. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email adam@sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Hi, it's Keith Byers, Hall of Fame running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Nothing beats watching college football while enjoying juicy, tender chicken strips. Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is launching the Buckeye Box to satisfy your hunger. For just $8.99, you get 4 delicious chicken strips, fresh cut potato wedges, and 2 mouth-watering dipping sauces. Stop by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken today to get your Buckeye Box, only at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a third-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
Shop Black Friday every day and get the best new deals all month long only at Lowe's. Right now, buy 1 DeWalt 20-volt max 4-tool combo kit. Get 2 select tools free. That's up to a $438 value. Plus, get up to 50% off select vanities, faucets, and shower heads. Shop in-store and online today because Lowe's knows deals. Valid through 11/22 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Pro football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season. So he does 2 things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing.
2 things at once!
Or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
2 things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot, if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Staples stores provide innovative products and services for small business, remote workers, and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
High school football fans, get up-to-the-minute score updates from all the biggest games around the Miami Valley using the 1410 ESPN Radio Scoreboard, presented by Frickers. Visit 937sports.com.
Welcome back. It's the Kinner and Kev Show. Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Doug Toby, he says, no free chicken for you. Doug, I think you knew who I was talking about on that one. That's what I'm assuming. But Chicken Chuck, I love Chicken Chuck. You kidding me? He may not love me right now, but that's what me and Chicken Chuck, we'll be fine. We just got to get through this. We just got to get through this weekend. But Doug, I like that you could read between the lines. A little bit. Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Dayton's new radio home of the Wright State Raiders. The Raiders will be in action coming up later on tonight. Game 2 of the Gulf Coast Showcase. They were victorious last night, 91-85 against Louisiana. They'll have Hofstra coming up later on, 7:30. The tip-off, 6:15 coverage begins right here on 1410 Wing AM and 101.5 Hank FM. And then they'll wrap up the Gulf Coast Showcase tomorrow. and they'll take on Buffalo. They'll get a little bit of a breather before going back, out on the road. And, of course, they'll have IUPUI to kick off conference play coming up here around the corner as well. But excited to have a ton of college basketball on our airwaves, whether it's Wright State basketball, Ohio State basketball, more nights than not when you tune into Wing late. I shouldn't say late, but after the show and everything, you're going to be hearing some college basketball 2, 3, 4 nights a week. So we're pretty jacked about that. So this Saturday, Ohio State, Michigan, noon kickoff. Coverage begins at 10:30. And of course, we're having a blast with that conversation now. So we've been dealing with a lot of cocky Michigan fans who are just stubborn as hell, who will just not admit that their program is a fraud right now. Like, I just don't get it. Like, at least when the Urban Meyer scandal happened years ago, there was at least a divide. You had your delusional Buckeye fans that were like, ride or die with Urban Meyer and all that stuff. Like, you had those guys, but you also had like the level-headed people that were like, man, what the hell, Urban? What did you do this for? Like, I know you were trying to give a guy a second chance. You were trying to be a mentor to a guy, but you put a guy over the entire program. Like, you were trying to be selfless, but you were selfish. And there was at least a divide amongst Buckeye fans. There's no divide amongst Michigan fans. You all support cheating. And it just doesn't make sense to me. It is insane. You have all bought into the victim complex. You all believe that we are out to get you. Oh, Kenner, you're only piling on because it's Michigan. If Penn State did this, we'd be piling it on them. Now, to be fair, maybe we are piling on a little more because it is Michigan, but that's the nature of the rivalry. What did you expect? Don't you guys think you piled it on when Ohio State was going through their embarrassing little scandal with Herbs years ago? If Urban Meyer, if the same thing with Urban Meyer happened at Florida, would Michigan fans be as passionate about that embarrassing scandal as what you guys were about Urban at Ohio State? No. So stop acting like a victim. That's just part of this. When you give your rival talking points, though they're going to use them. But you're upset because it's not just the rival that's attacking you. The entire world thinks you're a fraud. The entire world is mocking you. And the only people that have your back are a bunch of meatheads that used to play for your program who they're embarrassed by it too. But instead of actually trying to look like stand-up human beings, they're supporting this disaster of a program right now. We had a listener earlier ask, if Michigan wins, does Harbaugh get credit for the win? No, he doesn't. Harbaugh's not on the sideline because of his screw-up. So therefore, no, he will not get if they beat Ohio State on Saturday, which they won't. But if they do beat Ohio State on Saturday, he will not get credit for that win. Period. That win will count about as much to him as what beating Ann Arbor High School did back in the day. Yes, that's the third time I've brought it up. Probably let's see. We have another hour of the show remaining. I'll probably bring it up another 10 times. Ann Arbor High School. Celebrate that 1,000th win, though. Ooh. Ooh. So I threw this out because Michigan fans continue to be as arrogant and cocky as ever, right? I've seen this multiple times, that the Big Ten needs Michigan more than Michigan needs the Big Ten. And if I could say bull, fill in the blank on air and not get in trouble for it, I would, we have 4 mics in the studio. I would turn on this. Well, this mic's already turned on, but I would say bull blank into this mic. And then I would turn on mic 2. And then I'd go stand in front of that mic and I'd say bull blank in that mic. And then I'd go to mic 3. And then I'd go to mic 4. And then I would go to Hot 102.9 studio right next to ours. And then I would go crack mic 1 in the Hot 102.9 studio. And I would yell bull blank on that station as well. And then I would head to 92.9 Jack FM, that studio, and I would crack that mic and I'd yell it there too. And then I'd go to 92.1 WRU, and then I'd go to 101.5 Hank FM. And then, you know what I mean? I would just continue yelling bull blank as many times as I can across as many mics on as many radio stations as possible. That's how much of a joke Michigan is for actually thinking that that's the case. Remember when they were throwing the temper tantrum? I remember being at a grocery store a while back, and it was a long line because grocery stores, for whatever reason, they gutted out half the stores now to put in self-checkout lines and then still don't let you use half the self-checkout lines. Makes no damn sense, but it is so I'm standing in this long line for no damn reason, staring at all these vacant self-checkout lines, holding my 1 stick of deodorant that's all I was at the store to get. And this mom with this pouty little bratty ass kid in front of me was screaming because he wanted a Snickers bar. And she wouldn't give him the Snickers bar. I'm like, ma'am, I'll buy him 2 Snickers bars. Just tell him to shut the hell up. He's annoying the hell out of me, and we're not moving in this line any faster. So he sat there, and he kicked, and he screamed, and he threw a pouty fit until she finally gave him the Snickers bar. And that's Michigan. Except the bad mother who caved in and gave him the Snickers bar, at least the at least the Big Ten, they weren't bad parents. They said, no, you're suspended, dude. I mean, it might have been a slap on the wrist, but they kept him suspended. So at least they were better parents than the lady that was in front of me that actually gave the bratty little kid a Snickers bar. My goodness, absolutely horrible. But that's Michigan fans. Bunch of crying, pouty babies. All of you. So this idea that they were throwing the temper tantrum, if they suspend us, we're going to leave the Big Ten. And go where? The SEC is considered the best conference in all of college football. They still don't make more money than the Big Ten. Where are you going to go? The Pac-12? That's like the Titanic of college football. It's sinking. Good luck. Where are you going to go? The Big 12? Okay, cool. Enjoy your sanctions in the Big 12, making less money. Enjoy that. I mean, where are you going to go? The ACC? Okay. I mean, you might dominate over there. Hell, actually, that's actually not a bad idea. In fact, the ACC is so bad, you may not even have to orchestrate some kind of sign-stealing scandal to even win over there. So maybe you should go there. But again, less money. So I throw out the question, if the Big Ten was put into if Michigan went there and gave the Big Ten an ultimatum, you could either pick, you can't keep us both. It's either Ohio State or us. Who are you going to pick? Well, I promise you this much. If they actually did that, if they actually had the guts to do that, okay, if they literally went to them and said, oh my gosh, we're going to do it this way. For one, the only thing that would happen if they went to the Big Ten and tried to pull that, you want to know what would happen? You want to know what would happen if they actually did that? They would laugh them out of the damn room. If Michigan went to the Big Ten and said, okay, you know what? We're back-to-back Big Ten champs, baby. We haven't been relevant in 2 damn decades. The only way we started winning is cheating. You need us. And you have to either pick us or you have to pick the Buckeyes. Who's it going to be? And it's an hour-long meeting. You want to know what the hour-long meeting would be? That. Michigan fans, you stink. Your program stinks. Trying to pull oh man, we don't need the Big Ten. They need us. The only thing they need you to do is shut the hell up, stop cheating, follow the rules, and find a way to beat Ohio State. And now, you couldn't even dominate the Big Ten when there was just one elite program in there. Now you got Oregon coming, who's better than Michigan, in my opinion. If Oregon and Michigan played one another, I'm picking Oregon. USC, I would like to be more high up on them, but Lincoln Riley has fumbled that. I mean, unbelievable. I haven't seen a drop that bad since Travis Kelce last night. I mean, unbelievable, right? Like, Michigan. If the Big Ten had to pick between Michigan and Ohio State, it wouldn't even be a pick. It would just be like, okay, where do you want us to forge your mail, Michigan? The delusion that is the Michigan Wolverines is just insane. And it starts at the top to President Oh No. Because that's his oh no. Like that's basically where he got his name from. President Oh No. What's going on now? Oh no. What did Harbaugh do now? Oh no. What did we get caught for now? Oh no. We're going to get our ass kicked by Ohio State because we're not going to cheat this weekend and we know we can't beat them. Straight up. Oh no. Pure Michigan, pure comedy. What a joke. All of them. 518-1410. We got Ryan on hold. Ryan, thanks for holding, man. What's up?
Justin, how are you, buddy?
Not too bad. Another day in paradise.
You're fired up today. Normally, as you know, I would call about the Bengals. So I'm more of an Ohio State fan than Michigan fan. But I think what some people are missing here is why did they do it, right? It's the why. What's the root cause? Why did they feel they had to do what they did?
Yep.
And it's pretty obvious with the Big Ten, suspending Harbaugh for 3 games. They're going to get something from the NCAA. So where there's smoke, there's fire. So to what degree they cheated, I don't really care. But the why, to me, is what's crazy. The why is because he was struggling there. They cut his pay in half.
Mm-hmm.
His pay was almost cut in half because of his performance. So there's somebody literally on the hot seat. He was a Michigan man, so he had that going for him. He left the 49ers, as a disaster because he couldn't get along with the DeBartolos and the owners there. So he goes to Michigan because they'll take him in because he's quote unquote a Michigan man. So the why to me is it reeks of desperation. That's exactly why they did it. And what they did was totally illegal, and they're not done investigating. You don't fire a defensive coach or let a staffer go if they didn't do anything. And they dropped their countersuit against the Big Ten and accepted the suspension. So it's desperation. It's a guy who had to push the limits and cheat to be relevant again. And they were. And you look at his record up until 2021, then when the sign stealing started, and from 21 to 23, it's night and day now. Did he all of a sudden recruit that much better? Because for somebody that was a quarterback coach, I mean, they had to go get Shea Patterson from Ole Miss, who was a train wreck. He couldn't recruit a quarterback, but he somehow ended up with Andrew Luck at Stanford. It's just, if you can't see what's going on out there, then you have blinders on, and fan is short for fanatic. And that's exactly what you are. You're a fanatic and an uneducated fan.
No doubt. And there's nothing wrong with remaining being a fan and saying, man, my team, they screwed up. Like I used the example earlier, when Ohio State was going through that scandal with Urban, you had the diehards who were like, oh, he wasn't ordering the sex toys delivered to the Woody Hayes Center. They were defending him, but at the end of the day, he's the head coach. Everything that happens under his umbrella is on him. And that's the same thing here. They kept trying to do this whole, well, they can't prove that Harbaugh had anything to do with it. I'm like, that's the beauty part. They don't have to. It happened, and it happened under his watch. Like, I don't know why people are so delusional about how these rules work. That's what's insane.
Why did Michigan cut his pay in half?
Yeah, I mean, that's what is it like. And remember, they
did. He took a huge pay cut to stay there because his performance and his record and losing big games every single year wasn't up to standard. And so it's desperate times call for desperate measures. So let's cheat to get ahead. Let's cheat. And I still will never believe that he didn't know anything about it. So
yeah, there's just no way. Maybe, and I've said this too. Do I think that Harbaugh sat down like a mastermind and said, "Hey, we're gonna run this scheme here"? I think that that something started. It was presented to him. Hey, here's what we got. Here's how we're going to use it. And then it was kind of like a don't ask, don't tell type of thing. And because there's just no way you have to be dialed into your coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators. You want to be let in on the game plan. At no point you were wondering, well, how do they know exactly what's coming every single time? How do they know all of it? Like, if this has never happened before up until now, you're not just a little curious as a head coach. Like, there is no plausible way that he did not know in some capacity. None. Absolutely not.
I'm sure Bill Belichick had no idea Spygate was going on. He just had two great coordinators, right?
Yeah, and keep in mind, this isn't it's coincidental. You're a Bengals fan. But when they were doing that, they got caught spying on the Bengals. And at that time, it's not like today's Bengals that are like Super Bowl contenders. These were the bad Bengals that were like, man, you got to cheat to beat those Bengals when you're the big bad Patriots. Like, what are you doing? That made them look as silly as ever as well. So that's what happened. That's what's wild about this. Like, Michigan, they shouldn't have to do this, and they're doing it. To your point, he was desperate. He was about to lose his job years ago, and he had to take a pay cut just to stay there.
Half.
Half is just insane.
Half. It's not like he took a 10% pay cut. Half. So congratulations. They'll lose on Saturday. Hoo-day.
Take care, man. Appreciate you.
See you, brother.
It's Kenner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio, 518-1410. That was Ryan who just called in, of course. But yeah, this idea that Harbaugh had no idea. I mean, come on. What are we doing? I mean, I know weed is now legal here in the state of Ohio, but how high do you have to be to actually believe that he had no idea? Pass it around, I guess. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks, frickin' chicken chunks.
When there's no time to make food for your holiday party, carry out 4 pounds of frickin' chicken chunks for only $34.99. Give the gift that always fits, a $25 Frickers gift card, and get 5 frickin' bonus pots free. Let them get what they really want.
We love saying it because it's true. Chevrolet of Troy has you covered for all of your auto service needs. We have the most up-to-date and state-of-the-art dealership with experienced service department that's second to none. In fact, we're the only dealership in Miami County with an on-site body shop. Our experienced professionals diagnose your vehicle quickly to get you back on the road. For a limited time, get an oil change for as low as $29.95. Chevrolet of Troy, 1375 South Market Street, and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Dayton area attorneys. 2689 Commons Boulevard, Suite 100, Beaver Creek, Ohio, 45431.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon.
Black Friday starts now. Trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium and iPad and Apple Watch SE. All on